Starting off, guys, with the worst card in Clash Royale, we got the Mirror. You got to spend one more elixir to play the same card. It doesn't fit well in any deck. It makes your cycle awkward, and it's just trash. Next up, guys, we got the Gob Giant. It's been absolutely atrocious ever since they gave it those 3 nerfs. Combined, it has just absolutely killed the card as well as its evolution, and it's definitely the worst win condition in the game. We got the Barbarian Hut up next, guys. Worst building for sure, just too expensive, does not get enough value at 6 elixir, too vulnerable to spells, and doesn't fit well in any deck. We got the Clone next, guys. Even Giant Skeleton Clone, no one's using it. Lava Clone doesn't get played anymore. It's pretty much dead. No point in using it. Very bad spell. Rune Giant coming in. Rune Giant, very bad as well. Don't know what the point is of using it ever since they removed the permanent enhancement. Not really any deck she fits in. Might be a fun card to play, but very bad, that's for sure. Skeleton Army. Evolution's pretty much required for this card. The standard version pretty much never gets played. There's a reason why it was very bad before it got the evolution. Now people just play it to get to the Evo. But unless you're mid-ladder, the regular version is very, very bad. Ebarb's up next. Gonna be a mid-ladder menace card. Not very great, though, with the exception of 3 Musketeers. But most 3 Musketeer decks are not running the Ebarb's, guys. They're running the Ghost, Ice Golem, other support cards. They're just a lot stronger. They're not played very much at all. It's the same with the Barbarians, guys. The regular Barbarians are very bad as well. They pretty much always require the evolution. And even the Evo doesn't get played very much because lava decks often prefer the Valkyrie over them nowadays. Gob Machine, kind of like the Gob Giant, got killed ever since the balance changes where it got 2 big nerfs. It has been a lot worse. And the Wizard, guys, is going to be closing off F tier along with the Chef, guys. The Chef is the worst tower troop. Wizard is really bad, except the evolution. The evolution wizard is somewhat okay, especially in Sparky, but overall, guys, standard wizard going to be very bad and unviable. The hero wizard is also not very good, and I would say is the worst hero in my opinion as well. The witch, guys, is going to be the start of D tier. The evolution is pretty good, but the standard witch is going to be pretty bad, and not many people are using her. I would say she's slightly better than the wizard, though, which is why I have her in D tier. But everyone using her is running the evolution. It's the same with the archers, guys. The archers are very weak as well. Pretty much require the evolution, and you only see them in expo decks, even the evolution itself. So they're not great. The standard version especially, very bad. No one's playing them. Void got a small buff. It's still on the weaker end, though, but now you can actually use it inside of Elixir Golem if you want. But I would say that it's still one of the worst spells, and it's quite niche, even after the buff. The Gob Curse, kind of similar. I would say it's a little better and somewhat viable inside of Graveyard after the Graveyard buff, but it's still very bad compared to other spells and very niche. But I would say it's ever so slightly better than the Void, but it's still not really that great. The Little Prince, same scenario. It got a buff, but it's still the worst champion in the game. You could use it maybe in a minor cycle deck, but you're better off running the other champions over the Little Prince for sure. And the regular recruits, guys, are not good. You have to use the evolution. The standard version just so weak on their own, so easy to counter without having to worry about that charge aspect. Similar to that regular Zap, guys, going to be very bad. Got to use the evolution. The standard version for some of the cards are just very bad, and the Evo form just really carries them. Healer, guys, is going to be okay in maybe a Golem healer deck you might see from time to time, but 3 Musketeer decks don't even really use the healer. That's how you know she's not really a requirement in a lot of decks. So she's not that great, pretty off meta overall. Along with the Phoenix, you could maybe fit it inside of a Royal Giant deck, for example, but overall, it's not going to be played that often. And other flying cards, like even the Mega Minion, are just used a lot more frequently. Spirit Empress is kind of in a similar boat. It's not that it's a horrible card, it's just fitting it in the right deck is a bit challenging. So that's why Lava Hound is pretty much the only thing you're going to see the Spirit Empress in, but even some Lava decks don't run her. Spear Goblins, guys, fell off a ton after they got nerfed. Even Mortar decks very rarely run the Spear Goblins. It's very rare They just don't fit in decks the way they used to, like in Miner Mortar. Ever since their first attack rate got nerfed, it has greatly impacted the card without a doubt. The Goblin Cage, the standard form, is a pretty weak structure overall. Going to be bad against Cycle and air decks as well, and it pretty much just, you need to have the Evo. It's the same with the E-Drag guys. Definitely cards that require their evolved form without a doubt. Next, we have the Suspicious Bush. This is a pretty inconsistent win condition overall, pretty vulnerable to spells and buildings, and it's hard to fit in your deck, and the Suspicious Bush Boss Bandit deck is a lot worse as well, which less people are running now after some balance changes, so it's definitely a below average card without a doubt. The Tombstone guys is going to be okay inside of lava decks, but it's overall a weaker building compared to some of the stronger ones, and it definitely doesn't get played as much as it used to be, without a doubt. The Rascals guys, they're decent in Mega Draft, but on ladder with the evolutions and everything, I think they're really not that great, with the exception of some log bait decks, but overall there's still going to be better options like the Dark Goblin and the Princess that a lot of people prefer running instead, or other bait cards. Electro Giant guys and Golem are about similar right now. I feel like they're a lot worse in comparison to other win conditions. Even tank win conditions like the Giant, for example, is significantly better than the Golem, as well as the Electro Giant in this current meta. I think one of the biggest problems for them is a lot of the Evos don't tend to fit very well with these two win conditions, and I just think they get countered by just a lot of other stronger win conditions and just evolutions, and they're pretty expensive. Three Musketeers also counter them really well, which are a lot better, which probably contributed to their fall off. The P.E.K.K.A guys is also not in an amazing spot right now. Half of the bridge spam decks you see, or even more than half nowadays, don't even have the P.E.K.K.A in it. It's usually just bridge spam decks with the Golden Knight, the Evo Battle Ram, and they just have other support cards and don't even use the P.E.K.K.A. But the P.E.K.K.A's not completely dead. There are still some people that use her with the Battle Ram, of course, but not really the Ramrodder anymore. Regular Lumberjack guys is going to be up next. I feel like you definitely need the Evo with this card, similar to a lot of the other cards I've mentioned. Same with the Executioner. Regular Executioner is just really mid. You definitely got to use the evolution in order to have success with it. Night Witch hasn't been in a great spot either recently. Pretty much only going to be able to use it inside of just really Giant Graveyard or Golem. I have to put it below the Golem. There's no way I can have it above, because I think the Golem's definitely better than the Night Witch. Just wanted to adjust a couple things there. And the Bats guys are going to be next. Minions basically replace them in pretty much every deck. No point in running the Bats now when you got the Minions that are just a better option. Pretty applicable to the Evo Bats as well. Regular Mega Knight guys, pretty bad. The Evo's a little better than the regular Mega Knight, but both are not in the best spot. They get countered pretty easily, and there's just going to be way better options unless you're a mid-ladder player. E-Golem guys coming up next in D tier, a well below average win condition, and it just doesn't have many great matchups. It's pretty niche and, yeah, off meta. Firecracker guys, ever since her knockback got nerfed, the regular version especially is not really viable in anything except Hog, and even Hog decks don't even really run the Firecracker anymore, and if you use her, you do have to use the evolution for sure. Skeleton Dragons guys fell off a ton. There's pretty much no one using this card anymore. Maybe an occasional lava deck will have them, but pretty much all lava decks now have the minions. And then closing off D tier guys, we have the Cannoneer. The Cannoneer is a little better than the Chef, but both are still very bad tower troops, and you pretty much never want to use either of these tower troops in any deck. Even mortar decks, majority of them do not use the Cannoneer. I mean, that would maybe be the deck or graveyard that you use it in. That's it, though. But most of the time, you still prefer the Princess Tower over them. We're going to start off C tier guys with the Battle Ram. The regular Battle Ram gets countered pretty easily, but it's not horrible, especially in certain bridge spam decks, but you do typically want to run the evolution over the standard version. Gob Gang guys is in an okay spot. I think it's a bit worse compared to the guards, and also the Evo Skarmy kind of also has it replaced in a lot of the log bait decks, but it's definitely not bad in Mortar too. You can fit it into. And Inferno Tower is going to be next, guys. I think the Inferno Tower is really good inside of log bait decks. And even though Logbait Inferno did finish number 1 last season, I don't think it's an amazing card. I think it's more so the player and also the deck as a whole. I think the building itself is still a lot worse compared to things like the Cannon and the Tesla and other things that I'll get to, but it's definitely not a bad building against beatdown decks in particular and with Logbait, but it's really just Logbait. That's the only thing you can use it in. It's not a very versatile building. Musketeers next, guys, it's going to be pretty good inside a 2.6 and in Loon Cycle, but pretty much it relies on the evolution or the hero. The Musketeer itself isn't what's good. I think it's pretty much just around an average-ish card, and it was really the hero and the evolution, primarily the hero, that amplified it in 2.6 in Loon Cycle. The Minion Horde, guys, is going to be next. The Minions range buff definitely helped the Minion Horde out. Not as much as the Minions, but inside of Mortar decks, you do sometimes see them, and they can get a lot of value. Ramrouter got a small buff. It didn't really help it very much, though. P.E.K.K.A. Ramrouter is still not very good. The main Ramrouter decks I see are without the P.E.K.K.A. or the Mega Knight. It's just Ramrouter Bridge Spam, maybe with the Monk or the Lumberjack. It's not really that good. It's still a pretty bad win condition, but it's slightly better, and I guess you can use her with the Boss Bandit as well in the Evo Furnace, but the buff didn't do a whole lot. The Gobstein, guys, is really good inside of graveyard decks, so definitely it's a bit better than the Little Prince, but I would say it's still one of the weaker champions for sure, because you pretty much can only use it inside a Splash Yard with the Gob Cage. And the Demolisher got a little bit of a buff, which helped it out. It's used once again inside of Goblin Drill decks, where it can actually be quite annoying and get a lot of value, especially if you don't have a good counter to it or the right spell. It can be quite a nuisance to deal with, but it's pretty much only limited to Drill. Electro Wizard, guys, is going to be pretty good inside of Bridge Spam decks, but it's not really a requirement in anything. I mean, really the only deck you're going to see it in is with P.E.K.K.A, and even when you use it inside of a P.E.K.K.A deck or a Giant deck, you don't really need to have it. It's very replaceable for sure. Skeleton Barrel, guys, really relies on the evolution. Pretty much no one is using the standard Skeleton Barrel, but I also don't think the standard Skeleton Barrel is horrible, because even before the evolution, it was getting used again after they gave it a buff. So I would say it's a C-tier card, but it's pretty good inside of Mortar and Recruit Spam decks, things along those lines. The Elixir Collector, guys, is mostly in C-tier because of the Three Musketeers. It's not because of the Golem. The Three Musketeers kind of gave some life again to the pump. Even with it, it's funny, they nerfed the pump before the Three Musketeer rework, and even after the nerf, it still ended up being in a better spot just because of Three Musketeer buff. But it's definitely not an OP card. It's just viable and good, especially in Three Musketeer decks, but not really anything else, if we're being honest. The Mortar, guys, is okay. It's not really that good, the regular version. And I also think that it's, in this specific meta, I feel like it's not super reliable as an only win condition to get a lock, and I just think there's a lot of good counters to it, and it relies a lot on evolutions, and you have to use the Evo Mortar for it to be good. The standard version is pretty mid, I would say, overall, and definitely not one of the best buildings. The Gob Barrel, guys, standard Gob Barrel, kind of a similar story to the Mortar, where I feel like you need to have the evolution in order for it to be good. A lot of the small spells like Gob Barrel, Bar Barrel are, running rampant in the meta, so everyone is running the evolution for the Gob Barrel. So the Gob Barrel itself is kind of an average card. Bomb Tower, guys, is good inside of Loon Cycle, but that's pretty much the only deck you're going to see it in. Even minor Wall Breaker decks, you don't really see that often anymore with the Bomb Tower or Graveyard. It's pretty much exclusively Loon Cycle, so because it's not very versatile, that's why I think it's a C-tier building. And the Lava Hound, guys, this might be surprising to some people, but I actually think that it's in C-tier right now, because with the Three Musketeers being as good as they are, it's drastically reduced the usage of the Lava Hound and the effectiveness of it, because Three Musketeers are just such a good counter to the lava, because the Fireball Zap doesn't kill them anymore, making it just a great counter, and it shuts it down completely. So it's pretty much just completely fallen off a tier or two. It used to always be A or B every time. The Monk, guys, is going to be C tier. The only deck the Monk is good in, for the most part, is Royal Giant, and most Royal Giant decks don't even use the Monk. I mean, you could use it in Bridge Spam as well, but that's more off meta, so Three Musketeers as well, it's not usually seen in that. That's a more off meta Three Musk deck because most have the Evo Pigs and the Evo Ghost. The Snowball, guys, is going to be next. It's going to be pretty decent inside of Loon Cycle, but most people prefer having the Evolution, like in Giant Graveyard and also Goblin Drill, so I think the standard Snowball isn't really all that. It's kind of an average spell. The Goblins, guys, are going to be pretty good inside a Hog-X NATO and maybe inside of a Goblin Drill deck, but most people are going to prefer Skeletons or even Guards over them by quite a bit because they just tend to provide more value. The Expo is going to be in C tier. I feel like it's been in an okay spot the last few months. There's not really a whole lot to say about it. Like, it's not a horrible meta, but it's not a great meta for Expo. And you have to be pretty good with it to have success because you're always going to have to learn the new interactions with the Evos getting added and heroes, and you have to learn how to defend. But if you're a good Expo player, you can pretty much always have success with it. Magic Archer, guys, is in an okay spot, especially inside of Bridge Spam. With P.E.K.K.A, there's even some people running some minor Magic Archer decks again with the Tornado. It's a bit more rare, but it's definitely an average card, I would say, after the buff it got. The Baby Dragon is going to be C tier. I feel like it's okay inside a Splash Yard or maybe some Golem decks, but it's definitely not been used as much ever since the Evolution was nerfed, and there's a lot of heavier decks that use other things over the Baby Dragon, like maybe the Evolved Executioner, for example, or the Ice Wizard. The Freeze is in an okay spot because of the Graveyard buff. There's a lot of people using Graveyard Freeze, maybe some off-meta Loon Freeze decks, so it's not bad, especially after the Graveyard rework. Graveyard Freeze is quite popular now. Prince is, I would say, pretty balanced now. I think inside a Giant it's decent, or maybe like a Logbait deck, but it's not really, I don't know, it's not really nearly as annoying as it used to be ever since they gave it the charge nerf. It's been really balanced out now. Sparky's in a little bit of a better spot than typically is, especially because of the Vines and also because Giant's in a good spot, the Hero Giant. A lot of people are using the Sparky. Pairs very well with it inside a Sparky Bait or inside of a Sparky Tornado deck. Definitely in a pretty decent spot this meta, but not great because it still gets countered pretty easily by things like Rocket and Delivery and a lot of stuns. Heal Spirit is really good inside of Sparky decks and also Bridge Spam, but I do still think it's the worst Spirit, but definitely at least C tier. It gets a lot of value for only one elixir. Bandit, guys, is going to be okay inside of P.E.K.K.A decks, but the Golden Knight's a lot better, and most Bridge Spam decks prefer the Golden Knight over the Bandit by quite a lot. So I think it's one of the worst metas for the Bandit, primarily because of how good the Golden Knight is. The Flying Machine's pretty good inside of Recruits, and that's about it. I mean, maybe a Lava deck here and there, but that's pretty rare. So Recruits, so I'd say it's like a C tier card. The Hunter is good in Royal Giant, but that's basically it. But it is used in RG almost every time now because RG players use the Evo RG, the Evo Ghost, and then they have the regular Hunter. So it really shines in that for sure. And we're going to finish off C tier, guys, with, well, the Dagger Duchess. The Wall Breakers are not great without their evolution, as nearly as good as they used to be. That might be hard to believe, but pretty much everyone running their Wall Breakers has the Evo. And after they gave the Wall Breakers and the Evo that nerf to their explosion damage, I believe, or their death damage, that actually drastically reduced how good the card was, especially the standard version. And because of that, I actually think they're not nearly as viable without their Evo anymore, the regular version. The Dagger Duchess, guys, is really good in one specific deck. The Hero Giant deck with the Hero Mini P.E.K.K.A, the Rage, Duchess is amazing in. And that's why I think she's C tier, because that's really the only deck she's good in. So I can't really justify putting her in B tier just because of one deck. But she's definitely better, way better than the Cannoneer, way better than the Chef. But pretty much that's the only deck you want to run the Duchesses. There isn't really anything else you want to use her in. That Giant deck, though, you want to run her. Or probably any Giant deck for that matter. Giant Sparky, you probably want to use her as well. So Giant, you probably want to run her. to help against bait. The Goblin Barrel we're going to start off B tier with. Gob Barrel, the standard version, still better than the evolution. Standard version, though, not amazing. I'd say it's kind of an average or a slightly above average win condition. Really good with the Evo Snowball. And there's even some Golden Knight Tornado Giant Skelly drill decks you could run as well, not just cycle ones. But I'd say it's a solid win condition right now. Cannon Cart, guys, is going to be next. Really good card inside of Bridge Spam with the Boss Bandit, the Golden Knight. It's also really good inside of Mortar decks. Really solid, really good in Mega Draft as well. Mother Witch, guys, is being used more primarily because of all the graveyard in this meta. I've actually noticed there's more people running the Mother Witch inside of Royal Giant decks, which I suppose makes sense because obviously, you know, just all the graveyard. P.E.K.K.A as well. Some people are running the Mother Witch, just Bridge Spam in general. She's been used a lot more because this is a graveyard meta, obviously. Berserker, guys, is going to be pretty good inside of things like Goblin Drill and also Graveyard. The Graveyard Gob Hut deck, I noticed some people are running. Or Royal Hogs as well. Royal Hogs Gob Hut. I forgot about that. 3 decks she's really good in, but a lot worse after the nerfs she got a few months ago. The Royal Delivery, very good inside of Royal Hog cycle decks, Miner cycle decks as well, guys. The defensive value you're getting is pretty insane. It's not even an awful counter to the graveyard as well because it has a pretty big spawn-in radius on top of all the skeletons. So just a really good defensive card in this meta against Swarms as well. The Boss Bandit, guys, definitely B tier. Definitely no longer A tier after the rework she got. She's way more balanced. I think she's kind of an average-ish champion now. Nothing too crazy after I think the rework they gave her ended up being a nerf because I've been seeing her less, that's for sure. Could also be the meta too because she's not very good against Graveyard. So, could be the Graveyard meta. She's just not good against the Graveyard maybe as well. Regular Tesla, guys, is going to be B tier. The regular Tesla, not even the Evo, is a very good card. That's why you're always seeing this card in things like Expo, Goblin Drill, Hog, Log Bait. It's good in a lot of the cycle decks, basically. Miner as well, Miner Rocket. It's very good in. It's just really good because it's consistent in a lot of matchups, whether you're against an air deck, a ground deck, even Swarms it's not half bad against. The damage output's pretty good, so it's just a solid defensive card. The Giant Skeleton, guys, is going to be B tier. This card became a lot better after the buff. I've been seeing it a lot more inside of graveyard decks primarily. There's been a lot more people running it. Goblin Drill decks, it's been a lot better into. You can use it inside of Royal Hogs. And I just think it's a really solid card. Definitely made a return after the buff they gave it. The Skeleton King is going to be okay inside of, I guess, Mortar and Graveyard decks. I actually think the Graveyard buff helped the Skeleton King out quite a lot. Some people are using Splash Yard with the Skeleton King. I think it would be lower if it weren't for the Graveyard buff. Mighty Miner is going to be next. I kind of have the Skeleton King and Mighty Miner next to each other because between the two, I don't even know which is better right now. I feel like they're both pretty decent champions. The Mighty Miner is not as broken as it usually is because I feel like in this meta, there's not a lot of people running Mighty Miner with the Hog. I feel like the Mighty Miner right now is, I don't even know. It's not being used as much. I think a lot of the champions are a lot more balanced this time around, like the Mighty Miner, Skeleton King, and the Boss Bandit. I think a large part of it's because of the Graveyard. The Graveyard tends to be pretty good against Mighty Miner because the Mighty Miner doesn't really do much against the Graveyard. So that's probably a big part. Earthquake's going to be decent inside of Hog EQ and also with the Royal Hogs. Pair really well with the Earthquake too, but I don't think either one is too OP in the meta, so I think B tier is pretty fair. The Gob Hut is really good inside of Pigs, and that's about it. It's definitely not A tier anymore. It's mostly only being used inside of the Royal Hog deck with the Evo Ghost and the Evo Pigs. It is very good in that deck, though, and can be really annoying if you don't have a Earthquake or Poison, so it's quite matchup dependent. The Archer Queen, guys, I would say is one of the better champions right now, primarily because of the Pigs. I feel like Royal Hog Cycle with the Archer Queen is really good and definitely one of the strongest decks currently. You can also use her with the Mega Knight as well and other forms of bridge spam she can be pretty good in. It's really hard to rank the champions right now, I'm not going to lie. I feel like all of them are really close in strength, except one, which you guys might already know what it is or what I'm getting to. The Lightning, guys, is going to be next. I think that it's in an okay spot this meta. A lot of the heavier decks are using it. So, for example, you could use it inside of Royal Giant if you want to, or the people that are using Electro Giant, they're of course going to use the Lightning. And it's, I mean, yeah, it's not as good as it usually is because compared to the Fireball and the Poison, it's being used quite a lot less. But it's definitely in a decent spot inside of heavier decks. The Fisherman guys is mostly good inside of Royal Giant. That's pretty much the primary deck. Oh, and the Royal Hogs. I forgot the Royal Hogs use the Lightning. Duh. That was one of the main decks I was forgetting. I knew there was something I forgot, though. Fisherman, though, is pretty much only good inside of Royal Giant. But in Royal Giant, it's phenomenal and an OP combination, of course. The Zappies guys are very good after the buff they got. I would say they're B tier. They're being used a lot inside of Bridge Spam decks, so not even just with the recruits, but Bridge Spam now. And you can even use them inside of a Royal Giant deck with the Skeleton King, for example. It's a really nice combination. The Princess guys is going to be really good, of course, inside of bait decks and yeah, bait especially she's very good in. I don't think she's as good as the Dark Gob, which is why I'm putting her in B tier, but a lot of bait players do like running her. The Royal Giant guys, the regular version isn't actually that great because pretty much everyone running the RG runs the evolution. It's basically a requirement. And the last couple metas, the Royal Giant hasn't been as strong. I feel like that might be because of bait being in such a good spot and also the Three Musketeer rework might have made it slightly worse as well because some of the Three Musketeer decks and Evo Pig decks do quite good against RG. The Fireball guys is... What am I saying? The Bomber guys is going to be next. The regular Bomber is in a decent spot. What's interesting is the Evo's actually made a big comeback inside of the Hero Giant deck. That actually uses the Evo, but the standard Bomber is pretty good. I don't think it's as OP as it used to be because you can't just plop it in any deck anymore. It's pretty much mostly just Drill in that Giant deck now. And even Drill decks don't tend to use it a ton, I feel like. The Royal Hogs guys are going to be next. The standard Pigs are still very good, not even just the Evo. Because even before the Evo was added, the Pigs were really good inside of Pig Cycle and with the recruits. They were really solid. But now with the Evo, you have things like with the Gob Hut being really good as well, and the Three Musketeers. They're just really good right now, the Royal Hogs. In fact, I actually think they're probably A tier. I think I'm talking myself and putting them in A tier. They're really good in this meta. Yeah, they gotta be A tier. I don't really know what I'm thinking. The Valkyrie, though, guys, the regular Valk is gonna be B tier. I feel like she's pretty balanced overall. Like, she's a nice counter to the Three Musketeers, so I actually think more people are using her for that reason. But definitely compared to the Evo, she's nothing super crazy. But there's even some people using her inside of Lava now in Splash Art. She's definitely a very good card. The Rocket guys, log bait primarily, people are running her. You could also run the Rocket inside of Drill. You could run it in Expo as well, but mostly log bait decks are running the Rocket. And that Rocket cycle at the end of the game, kind of as a secondary win condition, can be pretty clutch sometimes. Really solid spell overall, and I would definitely say it's slightly better than the Lightning right now, because there's a few decks it can fit in. The Rage guys is going to be pretty good inside of Bridge Spam decks, or in those like niche off meta decks, like with the Eagolem as well, guys. It's going to be very good in with the Giant. It's very good. Those decks where you just kind of want to speed everything up and make it more obnoxious for your opponent to defend. Ice Wiz guy is going to be pretty good inside of defensive heavy decks, maybe with the Gob Hut or inside of a Golem deck. Things like that, and that slowdown effect is going to be really, really nice in the splash that you're getting from the Ice Wiz. Inferno Drag guy is going to be really good against heavier decks. Going to be solid if you run into like a Lava, for example, a Giant. It's really good inside of, especially Graveyard Freeze, it's good. You can also use it inside of Lava too, so pretty much just heavier decks. Mega Knight Bait if you want, that's more off meta though. Bowler guys is going to be next. It's been a really good defensive card recently, especially inside a Giant Graveyard. Loon Cycle, it's good. Electro Giant, it's good. So heavier decks, guys, It's the MVP defensively sometimes and does just get a lot of value. The Mega Minion, guys, is going to be what we're closing off B tier with. I feel like the Mega Minion made a big comeback recently because inside of Giant, it is amazing. It is like the MVP in that Giant deck with the Mini P.E.K.K.A, the Hero Giant, the Rage, the Bomber. That Giant deck, the Mega Minion goes crazy as your main air defense. It's a good counter to the minions. It beats the minions one-on-one, which is pretty clutch, especially in this day and age with the amount of people running them. It survives Fireball, which is really good. There's also some Lava players running the Mega Minion again, so not even just that Giant deck, guys. Definitely made a big return. And the Dark Prince, guys, is actually going to be going inside of A tier. It's really good in this meta, especially inside of that Giant deck I've been talking about so much. Speaking of the Giant guys, they're next to each other. The Dark Prince and the Giant guys have been so good in this meta. Dark Prince, not only in that Giant deck specifically, but also Giant Sparky. Dark Prince is often used, and you'll often see this card occasionally too inside of some other heavier decks, maybe like with the Electro Giant or something like that. You could see it, or even like a Three Musketeer deck, you can make it work in a bait deck. It's pretty versatile if you want to use it in a couple different things. And the Dark Prince, or the Giant guys, just like the Dark Prince, very good right now. Often these two cards are combined together, and they just, man, they do work together in the same deck. So let me tell you, the Giant in that specific deck has been really good. The Hero Giant, of course, amplifies the Giant as well, guys, but the Giant itself has been really good too inside of Giant Graveyard, which has been in a great spot in this meta as well. The Royal Ghost, guys, is going to be an A tier. The standard version, not even the Evo, is just so good, guys. That invisibility factor, splash damage for 3 Elixir, good in 3 Musketeers, good in Royal Giant, good in bridge spam decks, maybe with the Battle Ram, for example. It's just a very versatile card. You can fit it in a lot of different things, pretty much everything if you want to, except like a Lava deck. That's really going to be the cutoff. It pretty much fits in almost everything. Golden Knight, guys, is the best champion in the game, in my opinion. After the nerf, though, where they made the cooldown, I believe, 12 seconds instead of 8 seconds, definitely has made the card a bit more balanced, but it's still by far the strongest champion in the game. Very good inside of 3 Musketeer decks. Really good inside of just bridge spam decks. In general, guys, going to be good in heavier decks too with the Electro Giant in the Golem. And it's just a very solid card for sure. Good with the recruits too, Royal Hogs, whatever you want to fit it in. And even some Graveyard Freeze players might be running it. The Vines, guys, are a very underrated card. They're just so good, especially inside of... I feel like inside of Lava decks, they're the best, but they're also really good inside of bridge spam decks as well, guys. You can use them with the 3 Musketeers. You can use them with the Graveyard. They're really underrated, I feel like, as a supporting spell. You can serve a similar purpose with them as the arrows. They can kill things like a Firecracker or a Princess, things that are a nuisance, just like the arrows do. And then also really good for bringing air cards down to the ground, and you can kill them with your ground units. That's a really underrated interaction that good players do. And they also pair very well inside a Giant Sparky too, now that I thought about it. They're just a very good card, even after the nerf they got. Hog Rider, guys, great spot this meta, because there's Hog X NATO, there's 2.6, and there's Hog EQ. There's always going to be a Hog deck you can run, even Hog Freeze, some off-meta Hog Freeze decks. It's just a really good win condition that you can pair with a lot of different cards, and it's just viable every meta, basically. The Knight, guys, the standard Knight is a very good card. I think that the regular Knight is actually better than the Evolution, and obviously the Hero Knight's very good as well, but I just think the base Knight, guys, is really good, and I would definitely say it's better than the Valkyrie. It's just so cheap and versatile. It just pairs well in so many decks. The Tornado is going to be next. I feel like it's going to be really good, especially inside of heavier decks. Like with an Electro Giant, it's always used, but you can use it too with the Executioner, Graveyard Freeze. It's going to be very good. You could use it inside of a Goblin Drill deck too, or it's going to get a lot of value with the Magic Archer, and the King Tower potential you have is very solid. And it's just, I think even after the Tornado nerf, it's a well above average spell, without a doubt. It just pairs well with a lot of different combinations. The Dark Goblin, guys, got a 3% damage nerf. It didn't do very much. It's still a very good card. I would still say it's better than the Princess. In log bait, it's phenomenal right now. It's a good counter to the graveyard as well, which I think kept it being used a ton even after the nerf it got because, well, it's a good counter to the graveyard because you can play it behind the King Tower and it's unkillable oftentimes. And it's also pretty good inside of Mortar decks too. So not even just log bait. It's a great card. The guards guys are going to be next. They survive arrows. They get just a lot of value. They're very good inside of Mortar decks. They're very good with log bait as well. Maybe you could fit them in a balloon cycle deck. A lot of different things. A lava deck as well. Pretty much whatever you want. They're a very versatile card. The Fire Spirit guys is going to be next. It's a really good spirit, and all the spirits are very good, but the Fire Spirit is just very good right now, especially inside of Gob Drill decks. Royal Hawk cycle decks, you could use it if you want over the Ice Spirit. You could use it in a Miner deck as well. Just like a lot of different decks it can fit in. That splash you're getting in damage is insane for 1 elixir. The arrows guys are going to be pretty good inside of maybe you're running an air deck like Lava or Giant Graveyard. It's going to be very good. Maybe even a Giant Sparky deck. And even after the Radius nerf, it's still being played a lot, and it's a pretty nice counter to a lot of the bait decks in the meta, or just swarms in general. The Furnace is a lot better after the buff it got. Definitely one of the better cards in the game, without a doubt. You're getting that extra hit speed, and it's just going to give it more DPS in general, which is why you see the Evo Furnace everywhere, but I think even the standard version is just well above average now and absolutely phenomenal, especially in graveyard decks. It can be really obnoxious to deal with if you don't have a poison. Balloon is really good, way better than the Lava, because unlike the Lava Hound with Balloon, especially Balloon Cycle, you can actually beat 3 Musketeer decks because you can cycle quick and outcycle the 3 Musketeers or play it when they don't have 9 elixir, and it's winnable. Whereas when you have the Lava Hound, your cycle's too slow to do that. So the Balloon is still thriving, even with the 3 Musketeer rework. And I feel like the Balloon is always one of the best win conditions in the game because you can use it with the Lava Hound, or you can just use the Loon inside of a cycle deck, or even Loon Giant Freeze. There's some off-meta Loon decks. 3 Musketeer guys are one of the best cards in the game. I wouldn't exactly say they're S tier though, but they are very good after the rework. I think they're very close to needing a nerf for being S tier, but I, at the moment, have them A tier in this current meta, but they're so strong, and usually they don't even get played with the Elixir Collector. They're usually played with the Evo Royal Hogs and the Evo Ghost. They're very good in. You can also use them with the Battle Ram as well. There's a lot of different variants you can play. The Hero Ice Golem has helped them a lot too. I wonder if the Hero Ice Golem maybe needs a little bit of a nerf, or maybe even the Evo Pigs and the Evo Ghost, and then we could have a good understanding of if they're still broken or not, and if they're the problem. But for now, I just think they're a high A tier card. The Ice Golem guys, it's amazing this meta. Same with the Giant, even better than the Giant. The Hero's amplifying it even more, but the Ice Golem guys is so good inside of 2.6, which has been a lot better recently because of the Hero Musk. Loon Cycle for the same reason. And 3 Musketeers as well, guys. And then there's even Graveyard Cycle decks, which are pretty much all running the Ice Golem as well. So it's just been, yeah, it's been amazing recently, without a doubt. The standard version, not even the Hero, just the standard version itself. Mini P.E.K.K.A. guys, same thing. It got a small nerf in the last set of balance changes, but it's still been really good recently. And that's the thing with some of these heroes. When they have the heroes where the standard card is already really good, like the Mini P.E.K.K.A., the Ice Golem, and even the Giant, that's why they're really broken, because the standard card is already really good. I mean, so I think that really says a lot with the balancing of the heroes. They need to be really careful when the standard card is already very good. That's what ends up happening. The Cannon guys is going to be the last card inside of A tier. I think it's quite close to being S, but I think the evolution kind of carries it a lot sometimes. Even still, even after the Evo got nerfed, the Evo is still really good. One of the best Evos in the game. And I think the regular Cannon is A tier. I think it's a great building, but not quite S. I think that it's really good inside of there's a lot of hyper bait decks with the cannon. Drill decks, a lot of them have the cannon. Hog as well, Royal Hog Cycle, but there's still options. There's a lot of people that like to run the Gob Hut in pig decks. There's a lot of Expo decks still with the Tesla. There's still a lot of, maybe drill players that want to run the Tesla over the cannon. So I don't think it's so much of a monopoly to the point where I have to put the cannon in S just because of how much more it's used. I think it's fine at the top of A. We are going to start off S tier, guys, with the Miner. No matter what the meta is for Miner, you're always in the top 10 of the leaderboard going to see at least a couple people finishing top 10 with a Miner every single month, and usually there's at least someone getting top 3 with it every single month. The reason why is because it is so versatile. You can use it with the Poison. You can use it with the Rocket. You can use it in a Lava Hound deck. You can use it with the Balloon. You can use it with the Mortar. You can use it even with a Giant if you want to. You can fit it in a lot of different decks. And it's cheap. It's a secondary win condition. Not as good as it was before. After the nerf, I believe they gave it to the hit speed, which is why it's right at the start of S. It used to be at the top, but still very good. You have to have skill to run it perfectly, but you really can't go wrong with using the Miner or upgrading him. It's always good, no matter what the meta is. Minions, guys, are still broken. They're just so good, whether it's a 3 Musketeer deck, a Giant deck, a P.E.K.K.A deck, a Lava deck, a Mortar deck. Yeah, you get the point. They can fit well in most decks. They're getting a lot of value, especially if your opponent doesn't have arrows. Their DPS is insane. They even can shoot an Expo from across the bridge, which is crazy. They just got crazy interactions. They're very good. Ice Spirit guys, as well as the E-Spirit, are very, very good right now. I don't even know between the two of these which is better. It really depends on the deck. Where you don't have to worry about king activations, for example, if we're talking about maybe a hog deck where you don't want to get a king activation, you're going to be better off having the Ice Spirit in those types of decks. So if it's a hog deck or Royal Hog Cycle, Drill even, you're typically going to want to have an Ice Spirit. Decks where it's Royal Giant or Expo, but I will say I do sometimes see some people with the Hog run the E-Spirit, so it really depends. The E-Spirit's going to be more valuable. So it depends on the deck. Both of these two cards, though, get so much value for only 1 elixir, and they're just going to be great inside the deck that they're paired in, so I think that they're definitely S tier. The Poison guy is really good in this meta, especially because of all the Graveyard decks. Graveyard is often paired with the Poison, unless it's Giant Graveyard, then it's going to have arrows and Snowball. But in a Splash Yard style Graveyard deck, Poison's going to be used. Miner Poison's going to be very good as well, guys. A really solid medium spell. Don't think, though, it's the best spell in the game. We're going to get to some that are better, but it is a really solid spell nonetheless, and just a great counter to a lot of other cards that kind of are a nuisance to deal with, like the Furnace, for example. Not bad against 3 Musketeers either. Log Guys is in a really, really good spot, but I actually think in this meta, man, I don't know what's better between the Log and the Barbarrel. I feel like they're both so close and on par with each other. It's the same with the E-Spirit and the Ice Spirit. Both of these cards are going to be really good against bait decks. The thing is, though, guys, the reason why I think the Barbarrel has a slight edge over the Log is because of Graveyard. Most Graveyard decks, guys, have Barbarrel if they don't have Arrows Snowball. So if it's not Giant Graveyard, if it's a Splash Yard deck, they're typically going to have the Barbarrel because it's a tank for the Graveyard. It's also a good counter to things like the Furnace as well, guys. And the defensive potential is a bit better while still being a good counter against bait cards. But the Log is going to be used more inside of Cycle decks or with the Royal Giant as well. But 2.6 Royal Hog Cycle, you're going to have Log. But with how much Graveyard there is in this meta, I got to give it to Barbarrel slightly, but it's very close. The Fireball, guys, is better than the Poison in this meta because in this meta, There's so many people running things like Royal Giant, for example, which is pretty much always going to have the Fireball in it. Expo decks as well, guys, are pretty much always going to have the Fireball in it as well. And Three Musketeer decks, too, often have the Fireball in it. Lava decks as well, guys, have the Fireball in it, and then they'll often pair the Fireball with either the Vines or the Evo Zap. I forgot if I already mentioned... Oh, Giant. Yeah, Giant is another big one, guys, that the Fireball is always used in. So, yes, I understand, guys, the Graveyard is really good right now, and whenever I put Fireball to the Poison, people are always questioning it. But you guys got to understand, the Poison is mostly only used in Graveyard decks. The Fireball, I just named like 5 things. It's really good in Giant. It's really good with the Three Musketeers. It's really good inside of Lava. It's good with 2.6. It's good with Royal Giant. It's good with Expo. The list goes on and on. It is just a more versatile spell than the Poison currently. And I would say it definitely is better. The Skeletons, guys, are going to be next. They're just better than the Evolution Skeletons. There's more people running Standard Skeletons than the Evo because they'd rather have 2 other Evos, and then they just know the regular Skeletons are still getting a lot of value for their cycle. Doesn't matter if it's Royal Giant, doesn't matter if it's Hog Cycle, doesn't matter if it's a Miner Cycle deck, Drill, Royal Hog Cycle, like whatever, like any cycle deck. I don't need to name like all the cycle decks in the game. You get the point. Skeletons are going to be able to fit in that deck and just give you that cheap distraction that you need while keeping your cycle nice and cheap. Very solid card. And we got the Graveyard, guys. It's the best win condition in the game. The rework ended up being a buff. They tried to balance it out. They ended up making it more broken. Even though they took away the extra skeleton and nerfed it a bit right at the start of the season, it clearly was not enough, and it is way too strong right now, especially inside Splash Yard, guys, and inside of Giant Graveyard. It's been everywhere. There's even some Graveyard cycle decks with the Ice Golem, the Cannon, and the Furnace. It's just going crazy right now. Godput Graveyard as well, guys. Lastly, guys, we have the Princess Tower. Without a doubt, she's the best tower troop in the game, and it's not even close. I don't really think anyone would disagree with that. I think like probably at least 85% of the top 200 is using the Princess Tower. So that's going to be it for the list, guys. If you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe. You can use creator code BOSS to support me in any Super Soul game, and let me know in the comments below what you guys agree and disagree with. And thanks again. Until next time, guys.